Assalamu alaikum everyone. Okay, so the correct answer is 0 and 1. क्या कर रहे हैं आप लोग? बड़े funny answers आ रहे हैं. 2. Okay, I'd like to know how you got 2. अच्छा फिर अच्छा about the PDF, you'll find the PDF in the description. ठीक है. Uh, plus minus under root 2. Okay, that's funny. अच्छा then x equals to 1. Okay, so x equals to 1, I'm afraid, is what most of you have answered. Okay, and that's what I was expecting. Most of you would say x equals to 1. But the correct answer is x equals to 0 and 1. Okay, now I'll solve this. And before I start, those of you who are watching and haven't liked the stream yet, I'd appreciate if you guys would like the stream. Okay, so we can get to work. Yep, I'll explain. So basically, if x squared equals to x, you shift this over to the left hand side, so it's going to be x squared minus x equals to 0. Alright, then you take x common, so you have x minus 1 equals to 0, which means that x equals to 0, or x minus 1 equals to 0, which means that x equals to 0 or x equals to 1. मतलब कम से कम जिनका एग्ज़ाम है उनका तो ये सही करना चाहिए था. The answer is 0 and 1. Okay, so good job those of you who answered it correctly. Yeah, GCE students can watch this. Okay, it's just extra practice for you guys. All right. Okay, so again, those of you who are watching, please like the stream if you haven't done that yet, and also subscribe if you haven't done that. I'd appreciate that. And let's get to work. Okay. So here we are. Question number 1. Now this is paper 4. I've already solved paper 2. Okay. So this will now be the second paper 4 of IGCSE. Okay, the first one was February March. मैंने उसका link I've shared it on my Instagram because February March papers aren't official, so I had to take it down because I noticed that other channels that solved it were getting blocked. So obviously I didn't want my channel to get blocked, so I took it down. It's still on YouTube, okay, but it's not public. So if you want to access the link, you can go on my Instagram. You will find a highlight there through which you can get to the link. Okay, all right, now. So अब start करते हैं, ठीक है? So here is the first question. It's usually everyday math that you'll find the first question to be. Okay. So it says at a football club, season tickets are sold for seated areas and for standing areas. Okay. The cost of season tickets are in the ratio seated is to standing. So seated is 5 parts and standing is 3 parts. The cost of a season ticket for the standing is 45. Okay. So that means that 3 parts is actually equal to what? Is equal to 45. So here you write down the ratio. Okay, and here you write down the actual cost. So 5 is x. Alright, so that's it. Just cross multiply. So you have 5 into 45, which is divided by 3. So that's equal to what? That's equal to $75. Okay, so 3x equals to 5 into 45, whatever that is. So x equals to 5 times 45 divided by 3. Okay, easy peasy. Now, part 2. Part 2 says in 2021, the value of the team's players was 2.65 million. In 2022, this value has decreased by 12%. Find the value in 2022. So we have to find the value after decrease. Okay, so we have to find out the value after decrease. Okay. Now, there are a lot of ways of doing this. You can first calculate 12% and then subtract, or you can just get multiplied by 88%. That's also perfectly all right. Or you can do it like this, that you make a column for percentage and one column for dollars. So 100% is 2.65 million. If you decrease it by 12%, so that's 88, which is equal to x. And then if you cross multiply, 2.65 into 88 divided by 100. So we're looking at 2.332 million. 2.332 million. Okay, again, pretty easy. Now part 3. Part 3 says the number of people at a football match is 1455. This is 6.25% of the total number of people allowed in the stadium. Okay, 6.25%. Okay, this is 6.25%, so that means 1455 is actually 6.25. Okay, so again, you make a column for percentage and you make a column for people. So this 1455 that you're looking at is actually 6.25%. Okay, what do you need to work out? You need to work out the total, which means you need to find out 100%, which is equal to x, and you cross multiply. So 1455 into 100 divided by 6.25 equals to 23,280. 23,280. Isn't that too less for a football stadium? Okay, now. Okay, you don't have to memorize all the formulas for mensuration. Okay, there are a few formulas that you're given. I'll make a video on it. Okay. Sir, could you tell me if graph question we make a line which we don't touch all the points, like line of best fit, we get all the marks? Yeah, that's fine. Line of best fit is a line where the number of points lying above and the number of points lying below are equal. Okay, that is what makes it a line of best fit. Okay. Sir, do you have a coaching center? No, I teach online entirely. Graph of best fit you need to have half the points lying above, yeah, and half the points lying below. Okay. Yeah, so you're given basically the volume for cone and sphere. Yes, and the total surface area. Yes, so you don't need to memorize that. Okay. And also for cylinder, no, not for cylinder, and also for pyramid. Yeah, so you're also given the volume for pyramid. Okay. So here's part 4. We're still not done with the question, by the way. So it says the average attendance increased exponentially by 4% each year for 3 years from 2016 to 2019. In 2019, the average attendance was 1631. Find the average attendance for 2016. So this is like a compound interest type question. Okay. This is like a compound interest type question. So basically every year, the percentage attendance is increasing by 4%, which means 100 plus 4 upon 100. And this is happening for 3 years straight. So that means initially the value was x in 2016. And in 2019, the value has gone to 1631, the average attendance. Okay. Now, in order to work out the value of x, here's what we're going to do. 1631 divided by 104 upon 100, the whole thing, power cubed. Okay. So you work this out. 104 divided by 100, you cube the whole thing. Okay. So I'm looking at a certain value, which I'm going to divide 1631 by. So 1631 divided by answer. So here we are. We're looking at 1449 actually. 1449.95, which then becomes 1450, correct to 3 significant figures. And obviously we're talking about attendance, we're talking about number of people. So you can't have 0.9 of a person attending a football game. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Okay, now part B. Part B says another club sells season tickets for individuals and for families. In 2018, the number of season tickets sold is in the ratio family to individual 2:7. The number of family season tickets sold is x. Write down in terms of x the total write down in terms of x for the number of individual season tickets sold. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So what's 2 parts is actually equal to x. So we're using the same method. We're writing down ratio and we're writing down actual. Okay, ratio is to actual. So 2 parts is family, which is equal to x, and 7 parts is individual, which is equal to what? We don't know. Now we're not going to use x again because that's already used. So we'll just use y. So 7x equals to 2y. Okay, find this out in terms of x. So that's going to be 7 upon 2x. So there you go, 7x upon 2 or 7 upon 2x, same thing. Okay, so tracing paper ka वैसे कोई risk तो नहीं है, like they won't take. I've just made a video on it. Okay, I've explained everything about tracing paper in it, so just watch it and you'll find the answer to your question. Okay, it's a very common, it's a frequently asked question. That's why I thought I'll just make a video on it. Okay, now, so here it says in 2019 the number of family season tickets sold increases by 12 and the number of individual season tickets sold decreases by 26. Okay, so in 2019, the number of family season tickets sold increases by 12. So that means that's going to be x plus 12. Acha, 2018 mein, what were the number of individual tickets sold? That was 7 upon 2x. Okay, now according to the question, the number of individual season tickets sold decreases by 26. So what is that going to be? That's going to be 7 upon 2x minus 26. Okay, not according to me, but according to the question. Then the question says, so we've completed the table, you get 2 marks for this. All right. In 2019, the number of individual season tickets sold is 3 times the number of family season tickets sold. So that means the number of individual season tickets sold in 2019, by the way. So don't forget that we're talking about 2019 only, okay? So in 2019, the number of individual season tickets sold is 3 times the number of family season tickets sold. So here's how we're going to make an equation out of this. Individual equals to 3 times family. So in 2019, what is the number of individual tickets sold? It's 7 upon 2x minus 26. Okay, which according to the question is equals to 3 times the number of family season tickets sold, which is 3 times x plus 12. Okay, now if you solve this question, you will have the value of x, and be careful, what you have to find out is the number of family tickets sold in 2018, which coincidentally is also equal to x. So that means finding the value of x is as good as finding the final answer. So this is going to be 3x plus 36. This is going to be 7 upon 2x minus 26. Now the good thing about IGCSE is that calculators are allowed throughout. So 7 upon 2 is 3.5. 3.5 minus 3 is 0.5, which is 1 upon 2. Okay. So 1 upon 2x equals to 36 plus 26, which is equal to 62. Now you cross multiply, so x is equals to 124. And there you go, boys and girls, that's your answer. Okay, now, any questions? I hope not. But if yes, feel free to ask. Okay, now let me have a look at your questions. Sir, in my school mock, I got a B. So in O-level exam, is there any chance of me getting at least an A? Well, if you work hard, then yeah, of course, what's stopping you? Sir, IGCSE के maths में क्या... ये बाद में देखेंगे, ठीक है? Difference है, I've explained this quite a few times. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question later. Acha, sir, how many we should score for A and A star? Depends on the threshold. I've answered that so many times already. Sir, quick question. Instead of using tracing paper, can I use A4 paper as I was still able to do question of rotation symmetry? Do you think they'll allow you to take A4 paper? I mean, tracing paper is officially allowed. I can't say anything about A4 paper. A4 the size hota hai. I mean, what exactly is that supposed to mean? Are you saying that A4 ka blank paper le jaun? How will you do symmetry through that? I don't understand. But if you worked out a way, and if you think A4, I'm not sure if that's going to be allowed. Tracing paper is officially allowed, so I can't say anything about A4 paper. Don't risk it. And sir, what about smooth line? If someone can't make a smooth line in the graph, तो बेटा I don't know, मैं क्या जवाब दूँ इसका? आप थोड़ा कोशिश करें, स्केल यूज़ करें और तो लाइन स्मूथ बन जाएगी. Prediction for May-June 2023. I don't do that. Sir Zain के ज़्यादा subscribers हैं तो बेटा हैं. I mean, you know, he makes a lot more content than I do. Sir Zain is over. No, I don't agree with that. I think he's done a lot of work, especially for A-level students. I have huge amount of respect for him. How much should I average in my... Khair, we're not here to debate about that. Okay, so please leave that. How much should I average in my past paper practice? A decent score. At least after the threshold is applied, you should end up with an A consistently. Okay. Okay, so question number 2. Chale. This is a graphs of function question, but it's not your regular graphs of function question. It has a bit of mensuration in it. Only a bit. Okay. Kab kar rahe hain collab? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. So it says here the diagram shows a solid cuboid with a square base. Okay. The volume V centimeter cube of the cuboid V is equals to x squared into 9 minus x. The table shows some values of V for x is greater than or equal to 0. lesser than or equal to 9. Okay, complete the table. Alright, so that's a no-brainer. Just plug in 2 in place of x. So 2 squared is 4. 9 minus 2 is 7. So 4 into 7 equals to what? That's equal to 28. Okay, so that's that. You get 1 mark for this, which is brilliant, I think. On the grid on the opposite page, draw the graph of so and so. Okay, so let's have a look at the points. 0, 0. Alright, just put a cross, okay, not a dot, just put a cross. At 1 it's 8, so at 1 it's 8, that's going to be over here. At 2 we just worked out it's 28, so that's going to be here. At 3 we just worked out it's 54. So 54, make sure to get familiar with your scale first. So over here 10 is split into 5 small boxes, that means one box is 2 units each. 1 is split into 5 boxes, that means one box is equal to 0.2 units each on the horizontal axis. Okay, and then at 3 it's 54, so I've already marked that. At 4 it's 80, so that should be easy to mark. At 5 it's 100, so again pretty easy to mark. At 5 it's 100. At 6 it's 108. At 6 it's 108. At 7 it's 98, so that's going to be 1 less than 100, so that's right here. At 8 it's 64, so at 8 it's 64, and finally at 9 it's 0, so back to 0 at 9. Okay, now so let me make sure I haven't skipped a point or anything. At 2 it's 28, yep, so that's correct. At 1 it's 8, yeah, that's correct. At 3 it's 54, that's correct. At 4 it's 80, that's also correct. 5 by 100, 6 by 108, that's also correct. 7 by 98, correct. 8 by 64, correct. 9 by 0, correct. Okay, great. Alright, so I'm going to join these points with the help of a smooth curve. So there you go. Now you don't have to join all these points at once. Okay, if you can do that, that's great. If not, then nothing to worry about. ये कोई competition नहीं है. Who can join the most points without lifting the pen. Just do it point by point. And one thing that I always suggest is that just hover your pencil through all the points. Okay, and once you've gotten an idea what the shape of the curve is like, then you can draw it for real. Okay. So show that the total surface area of the cuboid is 36x minus 2x squared. Okay, how do you calculate the total surface area of a cuboid? Okay, of any cuboid. So the total surface area of any cuboid is basically twice of length into width plus twice of length into height plus twice of width into height. Okay, so this particular cuboid over here has length and width x and height 9 minus x. Okay, so 2 x into x plus 2 x into 9 minus x plus 2 x into 9 minus x again. Okay, now x into x is x square times 2 plus x into 9 is 9x minus x square times 2, और ये भी यही होगा. Okay, this is going to be the same. 9x minus x square times 2. Okay, so we have 2x square plus 18x minus 2x square plus 18x minus 2x square. So 2x square minus 2x square gets cancelled out. 18x plus 18x is 36x minus 2x square. There you go. That's it. Okay, then it says find the surface area when the volume of the cuboid is a maximum. Okay, so when is the volume maximum? Let's find out the value of x when the volume is maximum. Okay, so what's the maximum value of volume that we're looking at? We're looking at 108. So this is the maximum volume, and this is when x is equals to 6. Okay, so the maximum value of x, the maximum value of v actually occurs when x equals to 6, and that is when the volume is equal to what? Volume is equal to 108. Okay. Now, in order to find out the total surface area, the question is kind in the sense that it has already made us work out an expression for the total surface area. So all we have to do now is plug in the value of x in that expression. So 36 into 6 minus 2 into 6 square. So 36 into 6 is what? 216. 6 squared is 36. 36 times 2 is 72. So if you work that out, okay, now we need a calculator. 216 minus 72, which is equal to 144. So there you go. That's the answer. Okay, so that's question number 2 done. Okay, now let me have a look at your questions. Did I skip a part? What part did I skip? Oh yeah, you're right. I skipped a part. You're right. Okay. So let's do this. Sir, dot nahi laga sakte. No, it's best to make a cross. Okay. No, the format hasn't changed. Okay, you can get different types of questions. So aisa kuch nahi hai. Like I heard that if you didn't make it in one go, you. But how would they even find out if it's made in one go or not? The straight line at 44. Okay, yeah, you're right. I missed this part. Okay. So it says find the value of x when the volume of the cuboid is 44. Okay, so that's pretty easy. The volume is 44. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to make a straight line at 44. Okay, a horizontal line. Waise to all lines are straight. So here's a horizontal line at 40, 42, 44. Okay, now look at the values of x. One value that I can see is 8.5. The other value that I can see is 2.246. So 2.6 and 8.5. Here you go. Let's write that down. 2.6 and 8.5. No, I don't give one-on-one lessons, but I don't have the time for that. I'm sorry. So that's that. Okay. Question number 3. Question number 3 says, yeah, honestly, you have 3 marks. You're right. Couldn't agree more with that. Okay, let's call them K and A. So K and A carry out a survey on the distances traveled in kilometers by 200 cars. Okay. K completes this frequency table for the data collected. Calculate an estimate of the mean. Okay, so what do you do when you have data which is continuous? Okay, when you have data which is in range form, in order to calculate the mean, let's write down the formula. In that case, you do summation fx over summation f. Okay. But the thing is, x is basically the midpoint. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here is I'll work out the midpoints of all these intervals. So 80 and 100, the midpoint will be 90. 100 and 150, the midpoint will be 125. In case you're wondering how I got the midpoint, although I hope you're not, exam mein 2-3 din mein. So here's what I've done. 180 plus 100 upon 2, which is equal to 90. And then 150 plus 200 is 175. 200 plus 300 divided by 2 is going to be 250. Okay, and 300 plus 400, the midpoint is going to be 350. Okay. Now we multiply. So 90 times 7, 125 times 33. Okay. So I'm just going to write down the result directly. 90 times 7 is 630. Okay. Plus 125 times 33. So that's 4125. Plus 175 times 76. So that's equal to 13,300. Okay. Plus 25 into 52. So that's 1300. Okay. 175 into 76. Come on, double check kar loon. Yeah. 350 into 32. So that's 11,200. Okay. 250 and 252 is 13,000. Yeah, why I was wondering. It's 13,000. Okay. And then we'll divide it by the total frequency, which if you read the question is clear that it's 200. Okay. So let's see, what do we get? We get the following. 630 plus 4125 plus 13,300 plus 13,000 plus 11,200. So that's 42255. 42255 divided by 200. Okay, so divide by 200. So we're looking at 211.275. Now since this is a terminating decimal, so we'll just give it as it is. Okay, no need to round this off. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, sir, I said you for similarities and congruency. Okay, let me try if I can do that. Sir, I did this paper today, got 118 out of 130. That's pretty good. Okay, great. So I have a question. Do you offer tuitions? Yes, I do. If you can, but registrations will start in July, so you can contact me then. Okay, now part 2. Part 2 says A, or an, uses this frequency table for the same data. There is a different interval for the final group. Okay, so we can see that. Previously it was 300 to 400. Okay, notice that everything else is the same. Okay, everything else is the same. 80, 100, 100, 150, 150, 200, 200, 300. The same. The frequencies are also all the same. 733, 76, 52, 32. Okay. Without calculating an estimate of the mean, find the difference between an and Chi's estimate of the mean. Okay. Now notice something. So first of all, we don't have to calculate the mean. Okay. The question is categorically saying do not calculate the mean. Okay. So what are we going to do? How exactly are we going to make sure that we find out the difference in the mean without actually calculating the mean? Okay. So chalo, I'll let you guys answer this question before I do it myself. Okay. So I'll zoom out so you can see all the necessary values and then tell me how to solve this. Okay. Students from outside, yeah, students from outside Pakistan can also join. I have students every year from Bangladesh, India, UK, so you can join. As long as you have a working internet connection and Zoom installed, you can join, which I'm sure you do. Shout out to who? Abdullah Eats. All right, there you go. Shout out to Abdullah Eats. Okay, any suggestions how to solve this? Did the entire paper perfect except for this question? Okay, chalo, I'll answer this. So notice that since everything's the same, everything, okay, the only thing that's different is the interval for the final. Okay, it's just this that's different. Okay, from 300 to 360, it's 32. Okay, now notice that the sum that we got for the previous one was 42,255. Okay, now in this case, notice that everything will be the same. The only thing that's different will be, let's say, the only thing that's different will be the final value. Okay, now think of it this way. Okay, let's say up until here, let's say the sum of all the values are a. Okay, that means over here also up until here the sum will be the same. Okay, this will be a as well. Why is that? Because all the values are the same. Okay, so that means the only difference that we will have will basically be the difference between the sum will basically be the difference between 350 into 32 and what is the midpoint going to be over here? 330 into 32. Okay, so what exactly are we going to do now? So 11,200 is what we got when we multiplied 350 by 32. Okay, this was basically for a. For k, what are we going to do? This is what, no, actually that was for k. Okay, now we're talking about a. So for a, here's what we're going to do. 330 multiplied by 32. Okay, so let's see what is that equal to. 330 when you multiply it by 32, that will be equal to, let's work it out. 330 multiplied by 32, that's equal to 10,560. Okay, so this will be the only difference. Okay, 11,200 and 10,560. So think of it this way, that previously you were adding a and 11,200. Here also you're adding a, but you're not adding 11,200. In fact, you're adding 10,560. Okay, so how do I calculate the difference between the two? A plus 11,200, okay, minus a plus 10,560. Okay, and what do we do with this? We divide this by 200. Okay, so what do we get? Here's what we get. Let's work this out. A and minus A get cancelled out. 11,200 minus 10,560 equals to what? Equals to 640, and 640 divided by 200 equals to what? 640 divided by 200 is equals to 3.2. Now this is not what the mean will be. This will actually be the difference in the mean. Okay, so what's that equal to? That's equal to 3.2. So the difference in the mean is equal to 3.2 kilometers. Okay, now make sure that you guys understand this well, because if you end up doing this by calculating the mean, don't expect to get any marks. Okay, now I'll explain this again. So basically everything of this table and everything, all the values of this table, they're all the same except for the last interval. Okay, here the last interval is from 300 to 360. Here the last interval is from 300 to 400. Okay, so that means the sum of all the values up until here from 80 to 300 will be the same. Okay, however, there will be a difference between the last value, the product of the last value. So in this case, that was 11,200. In this case, it's 10,560. And that's what's causing all the difference. So we subtract the 2, divide by 200, and here we have the difference in the mean. And that's it. That's your answer. Okay, let's move on. Part 3. Part 3 says a diagram is drawn in the information in case frequency, showing the information in case frequency table. Okay. The height of the block for the interval 200 to 300 is 2.6 centimeter. Okay. Calculate the height of the block for each of the following intervals. Okay. Now the thing is, we're given the height, we're not given the frequency table or density. So we need to find out what the frequency density is. Okay. So let's start with this interval, 200 to 300. So the interval that's 200 to 300, okay, the interval that is 200 to 300, the frequency density, how will I work out the frequency density? Here's how I'll do it. Frequency upon class width is what frequency density is equal to. Okay, so what is the frequency for 200 to 300? Let's go work it out. Let's have a look. So that's 52. And what's the class width? Class width is 100. So for 200 to 300, it is 52 divided by 100, which is equal to 0.52. Okay. Now let's work out the frequency density for the other intervals as well. From 80 to 100, let's have a look. From 80 to 100, the frequency density is going to be 7 upon 20. Okay. So from 80 to 100, the frequency density will be 7 upon 20. Okay, let's work out the frequency density, then we'll see what to do next. And that's equal to 0.35. And then for 150 to 200, 150 to 200, the frequency density is going to be 76 upon 50. Okay, so 76 upon 50, which is equal to what? Let's see, 76 divided by 50, that's equal to 1.52. Okay. Now let's work out the final frequency density, which I'll do it over here for 300 to 400, which is going to be equal to, let's have a look, 32 upon 100, which is 0.32. 32 upon 100, which is 0.32. Okay. Now notice what the question says is this, that the interval which is from 200 to 300 has height 2.6 centimeter. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a ratio for frequency density is to height. Frequency density is to height. So the interval that has frequency density 0.52 has height of 2.6 centimeter. So what about the interval that has frequency density 0.35? What will its height be? So you cross multiply and get the answer. 0.35 into 2.6 divided by 0.52. So here we have 1.75 centimeter. So 1.75 centimeter for 80 to 100. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for the remaining three intervals. So again, frequency density is to height. Okay, 0.52 is to 2.6 actually. And what about the interval that has frequency density? Here it is, 1.52. What will be its height? So again, cross multiply 1.52 into 2.6 divided by 0.52, which is equal to 7.6 centimeter. Okay, and then last, let's do the working over here. Frequency density is to height. So again, 0.52, always use the original piece of information. Okay, frequency density 0.52 is height 2.6. What is the frequency density of the interval from 300 to 400? It's 0.32. Okay, so what is the height going to be? Cross multiply 2.6 into 0.32, 0.32 multiplied by, divide by actually 0.52. So we're looking at 1.6 centimeter. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, sir, we can also divide by 2. What can we divide by 2? Okay, I'm not sure if I understand that. What exactly do you mean we can divide by 2? Khair, anyway. Now here's part B. Part B says one car is picked at random. Find the probability that the car has traveled more than 300 kilometers. Okay. More than 300 kilometers. How many such cars do we have that has traveled more than 300 kilometers? And by the way, we are talking about K. K is frequency table. So more than 300 kilometers, we have a total of 32 cars from 200. So what will be the probability? Favorable outcome, which is 32, divided by the total outcome, which is 200. Okay, you simplify this. What do you get? You get 4 upon 25. Okay, so we've simplified using 8, and that's it. That's your answer. Okay, then it says 2 of the 200 cars are picked at random. Find the probability that both cars have traveled 150 kilometers or less. Okay, so let's have a look at that. 150 kilometers or less. So that means 33 plus 7. These are our favorable outcome. So for the first car, what will be the probability that it has traveled less than 150 kilometers? That would be 40 upon 200. Okay, why 40? Because 33 plus 7 equals to 40, and this is our favorable outcome. And for the second car, it's going to be 39 upon 200. Okay, so let's work this out. 40 into 39 divided by 200 divided by 200. So we're looking at 39 over 995. So there you go, 39 over 995, which you can't simplify any further. Okay. Then it says one car has traveled more than 200 kilometers and the other car has traveled 100 kilometers or less. Okay, so let's see how many cars have traveled more than 200 kilometers. So that's 52 plus 32. Okay, so let's write that down. 52 plus 32, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 84. And the other has traveled 100 kilometers or less. So let's see how many such cars do we have? Just the 7. So that's equal to 7. Okay. So one car has traveled more than 200 kilometers. So the probability for that would be 84 upon 200. And the other car has traveled 100 kilometers or less. Now, since we're talking about 2 cars, we have to decrease the denominator by 1. So it's going to be 7 over 199, which is equal to 147 over 9,950. Okay. And then if you simplify this, I think you can simplify this. 147 into... Acha, you're not going to simplify this actually. Here's what you're going to do. Okay, 9,950. Now notice that the question hasn't specified in what order you should give your answer. So you're going to multiply it by 2. The question didn't say okay, first should be more than 200 and the second should be less. Okay, the question didn't say anything like that. So that is why we're going to multiply it by 2. Okay, so if you multiply it by 2, let's see what do we get. 147 divided by 9950 times 2. So that's 147 divided by 4,975. Sir, these questions are not hard. They just require logic, but I'm afraid due to exam stress, I won't be able to use logic. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with the part that these questions are not hard. They require logic. Yes, I couldn't agree more with that. But Dekho, if you don't understand the question the first time, that doesn't mean you're not going to understand it at all. Okay, just read it again and again, and eventually you will understand. Okay, the best thing you can do is just try and translate it in your own language. Okay, try and explain it to yourself. And then if you do that, you know, क्यों नहीं समझ आएगा? Inshallah, लाज़मी समझ आएगा. The thing is, sometimes we just underestimate your own capabilities. Okay, so don't do that. Why do we multiply by 2? Because the question hasn't specified that which one should be more than 200 kilometers and which one should be less. The question didn't say that the first one should have traveled more than 200 kilometers and the second one should have traveled less than 100 kilometers. Okay, so that is why we're multiplying it by 2. Okay, it's like one is blue and the other is red. What do we do in that case? Blue red plus red blue, or simply blue red times 2. So it doesn't look like May 23 papers are easy. May? From March. The thing is, having an easy paper doesn't always swing in your favor. Okay, a lot of times we think if paper is difficult, that's a bad thing. Yes, it's a bad thing from, like mentally you don't get all the questions right and you don't feel too good about it. But in terms of threshold, it's not a bad thing. Okay, if the paper is difficult, insanely difficult, then the threshold is going to be low. Okay, and I've seen people, I see this happen every year. If the paper turns out to be difficult, then there are people, like last year for example, after ad maths, there were so many people who were considering retake. Okay, but they ended up with an A. Okay, and just like that, after the mini series, so many people were depressed, they were considering retakes, but some of them even ended up with an A star. The same people who were considering retakes ended up with an A star. Okay, so it's miraculous what the threshold can do for you. Okay, but you just need to focus on your own preparation. Your threshold, difficulty level, Feb, March easy, October, November difficult, May, June easy or difficult, that's irrelevant. It's white noise. Ignore that. Okay, just focus on your own preparation. That's it. Everything else is irrelevant. Like a lot of people are freaking out because of the whole the document that Cambridge has released about the grade threshold. Again, irrelevant for you. Okay, yes, I mean, it's good to know what they're doing. Okay, but it's not like now you're going to prepare for it any differently. No, you're still going to prepare it the exact same way. So just do what you have to do. Okay. All right, question number 4, transformation. It says describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto B. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Okay, shape A onto B is translation. All right, so that gives us 1 mark. Now we need to write down the translation matrix. So let's see, how do we go from A to B? Okay, so if you take this point, you can see this point has moved how many units to the right? This point has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 units to the right, and this point has moved. Let's see how many units down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7 to the right and 8 down. So that means 7, comma, minus 8. There you go. That's it. Okay. Translation by 7, comma, minus 8. Shape A onto C. Okay. A onto C. So first of all, we got to narrow down between reflection and rotation. Okay. You will only find yourself getting confused between reflection and rotation. So let's narrow it down to what it is. So if I join these 2 points, okay, and then if I join any other point, so I can see that the lines aren't parallel. Okay, you can clearly see that these 2 lines are not parallel. And because they're not parallel, that means we have a rotation. Okay, and let me tell you something, if it's 3 marks, it's definitely not reflection, it's definitely rotation. Okay. So rotation, and let's talk about the angle. So this line is vertical. After rotation, it got horizontal. So that means it's definitely 90 degrees. Okay. And this is the direction in which we're going. Okay. So this is it says A onto C, right? So this is 12, 3, 6, 9. So this is this is clockwise. Yeah. Rotation 90 degree clockwise. Yes. Rotation 90 degree clockwise, or you can say 270 degree anti-clockwise. Okay, A onto C, this is 90 degree clockwise. Okay. Acha. How is it anti-clockwise? Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? 12, 3, 6, 9. So we're going from 9 to 12, and it's A onto C. Yeah, so it's clockwise. It's not anti-clockwise. Okay. How is it anti-clockwise? rotation. Okay. A onto C. Acha, oh, okay. I get it. Yes. So basically, it's 90. If it's 90 degrees, then it's 90 degree anti. Yeah, you're right. Okay, my bad. Yes, it's anti-clockwise. Okay, I didn't pay attention to the shape. You guys are right. Okay, it's 90 degree anti-clockwise. 90 degree anti-clockwise. Okay, sorry, my bad. A onto C is 90 degree anti-clockwise. ठीक है. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out, whoever pointed it out. Okay, so rotation 90 degree anti-clockwise. Now we have to find out the center. Okay. If you ever find yourself getting confused between 90 degree clockwise and anti-clockwise like I was, okay, so what you can do is you can simply find out the center first. Acha, I don't know if you guys know, I taught this trick of finding the center without using a compass and basically without the help of a perpendicular bisector. I mean, we are going to draw a perpendicular bisector, but we're going to draw it without the help of compass. Okay, we're going to draw it graphically. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So you join these 2 points. Okay, I've made a video on it. अगर आपको ये देख के ना समझ आए, so I would suggest you watch the video. Okay. So what you do is, between these 2 points, you find out the center. Okay, since these 2 are the rotated points, you find out the center. Okay, now you can do that by using the midpoint formula, or you can do it without the midpoint formula. Okay, you can just eyeball it. So I can see that this is the center of these 2 points. Okay, so after you've identified the center, here's what you have to do. Take any one point, okay, doesn't matter whether it's the object or the image, and rotate it 90 degree clockwise or anti-clockwise, doesn't matter. Okay, so if you take the point on C and rotate it 90 degree clockwise, let's say, so this point is 2.5 units to the right, half unit down. Okay, if I rotate this 90 degree clockwise, so it's going to be 2.5 unit down and half a unit left. Okay, so basically what we're doing is, we already have one point on the perpendicular bisector, we're finding out the other point. Okay, so now that we have the other point, we're going to make a straight line and extend it. Now all of this you can do using your compass as well. Okay, but I'm just trying to avoid that method. I can't do that over here physically. Okay, but once you learn this method, I've made a video on it as well. I'm pretty sure you're going to let go of the compass method. I'm pretty sure about that. Okay. All right, let me just make sure that I've drawn the line correctly. So this is basically what the line looks like. Yeah, this is what the line looks like. Okay, there you go. Acha. Now that's one perpendicular bisector. Okay, let's have a look at the other perpendicular bisector. Now for the other perpendicular bisector, you can pick any other 2 points. So let's say if I pick these 2 points. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out the midpoint of these 2 points. Okay, so how can I find out the midpoint of these 2 points? You can use the midpoint formula, or you can just try and eyeball it. Okay, so this is the midpoint. Okay, you can see, yeah, this is what the midpoint is. Let me see. Half, 1, 2, 3, 1.5, half, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. Now, like I said, you can use the midpoint formula as well, nothing to worry about. Okay, then what you do is, again, you pick any point on the object or the image and you rotate it 90 degree clockwise or anti-clockwise to find the other point of the perpendicular bisector. So let's say I take this point and I rotate it 90 degree clockwise. So this point, as you can see, is half, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. 3.5 units to the right. That means once you rotate it, it's going to be half, 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 units down. And this, which is 1.5 unit down, is now going to be 1.5 unit towards the left. Okay, use that sign that I use for rotation. Now that you have enough information to make the other perpendicular bisector, go ahead and do that. And you will definitely have these 2 perpendicular bisectors intersecting at a certain point. And that point is your center of rotation. And what is that point? That point is 0,8. So center is 0,8. Now I know this may not be 100% clear to some of you, for which I would suggest that you watch. I have a whole video of transformation. I would suggest that you watch that, especially this part where you rotate without using a compass. Okay. So if you write 270 degree, yes, if you write 270 degree, it will also be acceptable. Okay. All right. Now, part 3, A onto shape D. So ये तो कोई भी बता दे that this is definitely enlargement, but we don't just leave it there at enlargement. We will find out the center. Okay. So how do you find out the center? You join the points and you extend them. Okay. Extend them enough so that they can meet at a certain point. Now I don't know at what point they're going to meet. So let's join this and extend it. And you can see that they're meeting at -1, 4. Okay. So like I said, it's enlargement. Let's write that down. Enlargement. Okay. Center -1, -4. -1, -4. Okay. And what about the scale factor? Okay. How do you find out the scale factor? You pick any one length of the image. Okay. So let's pick this length. And you pick any one length of the object. So let's pick this length. So you take the image length divided by the object's length, which is equal to 1/2. So that means the scale factor is equal to what? Is equal to 1/2. And there you go. That's that. Then it says on the grid, draw the image of shape A after reflection in the line y equals to x plus 8. Okay, so it's best that you first draw the line y equals to x plus 8. Now I'm going to clean this up. Okay. I'm going to clean this. I'm going to clean this. Okay. Clean this. Clean this. Okay. This and this. Okay. Now, so y equals to x plus 8. So let's plug in a few points. Okay. So if you plug in 0, y equals to 8. If you plug in 1, y equals to 9. And if you plug in -1, although I should have done it in order, but let's say we didn't do it in the correct order. So if you plug in -1, -1 plus 8 equals to 7. So although 2 points काफ़ी होते हैं, but just to be on the safe side, let's plug in 3. 0, 8, 1 and 9. Okay, we don't have room for 1 and 9, but -1, 7 we can mark. And if you plug in -2, so -2 plus 8 is going to be +6. Okay. Now let's join this line. Here it is. There you go. Okay. Now what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to draw the image of A after reflecting it along this line. Okay. So how do you reflect a point along the line? You do that by counting the perpendicular distance. So this point is half a diagonal, so it's going to be half a diagonal on the other side. Okay. This point also half a diagonal, so half a diagonal on the other side. Okay. This point is 2 diagonals, 1.5 actually, so it's going to be 1.5 diagonals on the other side over here. Okay. And then this point is already on the line of reflection, so it's not going to go anywhere. This point is half a diagonal, so it's going to be half a diagonal on the other side as well. Okay. So now you have enough information to draw the reflected object. And then once you've done that, don't forget to clean the mess up. Now what are we supposed to label this? We're supposed to label this as, okay, we're not supposed to label it, so that's that. Just leave it as it is. Okay. So there you go. Let me straighten up this line. That's it. That's your answer. So how many marks was this question? This question was 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 3, 8, 8 plus 2, 10. So 10 mark transformation question. Okay. That's pretty intense. Sir, in the exam, won't the diagram get very messy? If it does, then erase it, okay? And use a light pencil always. Okay. Personally, tracing paper seems easier to me. Definitely. Tracing paper is definitely a lot easier. Okay. But like I said, don't entirely rely on the tracing paper. Okay. You should know multiple methods. Irrespective, you should know multiple methods. Okay. All right. Now, moving on. Question number 5, kinematics. Or you can say, sir, हमने formula sheet मिलेगी? नहीं, you don't get any formula sheet. You just get the formula for cone, sphere, and pyramid. Okay, ये 3 shapes हैं जिनके आपको formulas दिए हुए होंगे. Okay, and for pyramid, only the volume of pyramid. All right. So this question says here the diagram shows the speed time graph for part of a journey for two vehicles, a car and a bus. Calculate the acceleration of the car during the first 18 seconds. Okay, so how do we calculate the acceleration? Change in speed over change in time, or you can do that by finding the gradient, which is essentially the same thing. All right, so 0, 10 and 18, 24. 9 of physics students would be like, we can use change in speed over change in time. That's much easier. Now gradient isn't any different from that because acceleration is rate of change of speed. 24 minus 10 over 18, so that's equal to 14 upon 18, I believe. Yeah, 14 over 18, which if you want you can simplify and write it as 7 upon 9 meter per second square. Okay, then it says in the first 40 seconds the car traveled 134 meters more than the bus. Okay, so in the first 40 seconds the car traveled 134 meters more than the bus. Okay, so let's calculate the distance traveled by bus. Okay, so if you calculate the distance traveled by the bus, so that's pretty easy. That's going to be 40v. Okay, and then if you calculate the distance traveled by the car, so we'll have to divide that up. We'll have to split it up, in fact. Okay, so first let's calculate the area of this trapezium. Okay, let's call this A1. So for A1, what we'll do is the following: half into 10 plus 18, since these are the two parallel sides. Ek 10 hai, ek 18 hai. And what about the height? No, wait a minute. 10 and 24. 10 and 24. And what about the height? The height is 18. Okay, so 2 1s are, 2 9s are. 10 plus 24 is 34. 34 ko multiply karte hain by 9, so that's equal to 306. Okay, and then what about this region? For this region, which I'm now going to call A2, iska area nikalna is pretty straightforward. All you got to do is multiply this, which is 22 by 24. So this is A1. A2 is going to be equal to 22 by 24. Okay, which is equal to what? 22 into 24, that's equal to 528. Okay. All right, now let's sum it up. 528 plus 306, so that's equal to 834. So the total distance traveled by car is actually 834 meters. Okay, now the question says in the first 40 seconds the car traveled 134 meters more than the bus. So what does that mean? That means the distance of the car is equal to bus plus 134. Okay, make sure that you place the 134 correctly. Okay, so what's the distance traveled by the car? 834. What's the distance traveled by the bus? 40v plus 134. Okay, so what does that mean? That means 700 equals 40v, so you cross this out. V is equals to 70 upon 4, which is equal to 35 upon 2, which is equal to 17.5. So there you go. V is equals to what? V is equals to 17.5 meters per second. Now there you go. That is your final answer. Sir, I gave the last year and got a U. Right, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're well prepared this time. Okay, if enlargement is, the center is not 0, 0, then the matrix is out of your syllabus. Okay, the only matrix that you have to find, doesn't matter whether it's for enlargement, rotation, reflection. Reflection method, there is no center, but in rotation and enlargement there is a center. So in all the matrices the center is 0, origin basically. Okay, if it's not the origin, then it's out of your syllabus. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I hope you're not stressing out too much about that. Now here's part B, which says a train takes 10 minutes 30 seconds to travel 16,240 meters. Calculate the average speed of the train, give your answer in kilometers per hour. So it's a pretty straightforward question. You're only getting marks to remember the conversions, and that's that. So calculate the average speed of the train in kilometers per hour. Okay, so first of all, my suggestion is that you convert 10 minutes 30 seconds to seconds. Okay, how do you do that? 10 into 60 plus 30. So 10 into 60 is 600 plus 30, so that's equal to 630. Why is that? That's because it's easier to convert seconds into hours. Okay. And then for the distance, it's 16,240 meters. So let's keep it as that. Okay. So now the average speed is equals to total distance upon total time. So what's the total distance? 16,240. Let's divide that by 1000 so that it's in kilometers. Okay. And what's the total time? The total time is 630. So let's divide that by 3600. And that's it. Okay. Just use your calculator to figure this out. Okay. No need to stress out about working this mentally. Mentally, I wouldn't even recommend at all that you work this out mentally. Okay. Especially when calculators are allowed. So that's it. 630 divided by 3600. So here we are. We're looking at 92.8 kilometers. Okay. So if you don't know how to convert minutes and seconds separately into hours, nothing to worry about. Just convert it to seconds and then convert it to hours. But you will have to make sure that you remember your conversions well. Okay. Sir, you're very popular in Tanzania. Okay. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. All right. I never imagined that. Didn't understand lost part. Okay. So I'll explain that again. I hope you're talking about this part. So it says in the first 40 seconds, the car traveled 134 meters more than the bus. So just work out the distance that the car travels, just work out the distance that the bus travels, okay? And make this equation. Car equals to bus plus 134. Okay, remember, more, larger, greater, all that translates into plus. So technically what I'm doing is I'm just translating it from English to math. Car equals bus plus 134. Okay, and then you find out the distance the car travels, for which you need to find out the area of trapezium and then the area of rectangle. You find out the distance that the bus travels, for which you need to find out the area of the rectangle. And why are we doing that, by the way? We're doing that because area under the speed time graph gives you distance traveled. Okay, remember that. Area under speed time graph gives you distance traveled. Okay. All right, question number 6, part A. Solve 4x plus 15 equals to 9. So 4x, again, such an easy question. Okay. 4x equals to 9 minus 15, which is minus 6. X equals to minus 6 upon 4, which is minus 3 upon 2. There you go. Factorize a square minus 9. So this is the identity a plus b, a minus b, which means a plus 3 into a minus 3. Okay, when can you use the identity? You can use this identity when you have two perfect squares that are being subtracted. Okay, you can't just use this identity whenever you want. It's only when you have two perfect squares with a minus sign. Okay. Now part D. All right, this is interesting. Part D says, oh no, wait a minute, I skipped part C. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form. So turn division to multiplication. So this becomes 10c and this becomes 3ad. So we cross out the a and a. We cross out the c. Oh no, wait a minute, we can't cross out the c. But we can simplify 5 1s are, 5 2s are. Anything else that we can simplify? No, we can't. So 4 times 2 is 8 along with the c. And 1 into 3d is 3d. So 8c upon 3d. Okay. Then it says find an expression for m in terms of n. Okay, so this might look like a crazy question. Okay, but it's actually not that difficult. All you have to do is be able to realize that you can actually factor out 5 power n. Okay. And if you do that, you have 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is equal to 5 to the power m. Okay, and not so coincidentally, this also becomes 5. And now you're looking at 5 to the power n, which is equal to 5 to the power m. And again, not so coincidentally, same bases are being multiplied, which means powers can be added. So this becomes 5 power n plus 1, which is equal to 5 power m. Now the same bases are cancelled out, and now we have n plus 1, which is equal to m. And there you go. M is equals to n plus 1 as your answer. Okay. So I'm pretty sure a lot of students would have freaked out just after looking at this question, but you know, just got to be able to hold it together and see exactly what can be done. Let's cancel all 5s in part D. No, you can't just cancel it like that. Okay. So just be careful. Should I be doing paper 2s or paper 4s right now, or a bit of both? A bit of both. In fact, I would suggest that you do both, since IGCSE students don't have a lot of gap. Okay, one is what? One is on the 2nd and the other is on the 4th. Yeah. 2nd and 4th. So you guys don't have a lot of time. So just do both. Solve by factorization. Okay. So factors of minus 20 that leave you with positive 10. So that's going to be minus 10 and 2. So minus 10x plus 2x minus 5 equals to 0. So we factor out 2 along with x. So we have 2x minus 5. We factor out just the 1. So we have 2x minus 5 equals to 0. So now we have x plus 1 and 2x minus 5 equals to 0, which means x equals to minus 1 and x is equals to 5 upon 2. Paper 2 has slightly shorter questions. Okay, paper 4 has more detailed questions. Okay, so paper 2 is of less marks and you don't have a lot of time for it. Okay, but you don't need a lot of time for it. Paper 4 carries more marks and you have more time for it as well. Like for example here, this paper has how many marks? 130, and you have 2 hours and 30 minutes. Paper 2 on the other hand carries 70 marks. Yeah. Okay, now here is question number 7. No, wait a minute. 6 part F. Yeah. Y is directly proportional to x plus 3 the whole thing cube. When x is 2, y is equals to 13.5. Now if you remember, I told you guys that there's an easier way to solve questions like these. So you write y, you write x plus 3 the whole thing cubed. Okay. So when y is 13.5, x is 2 plus 3 the whole thing cubed. Okay. Or you might as well write 5 cubed. Okay. So that's what I'm going to, in fact, you know what? I'll let it be as 2 plus 3 the whole thing cubed. Okay. And I'll turn it to 5 in the next step. So it says find x when y is equals to 108. Okay. So that means find x when y is equals to 108. So 108, and what do we have to do? We have to find out the value of x. So that means x plus 3 the whole thing cubed. Okay. Now be careful that this method only works when you don't have to find out the value of of k, when you don't have to find out the formula. Okay. Now how do we do that? Let's see. So basically, here's what we're going to do. Since they're directly proportional, we'll cross multiply. So that means 108 into 5 cubed. 108 into 5 cubed. Okay. Equals to 13.5 into x plus 3 the whole thing cubed. Okay. So let's work this out. 108 into 5 cubed. So that's equal to 13,500. Okay. And if you divide this by 13.5, this will be equal to x plus 3 the whole thing cubed. Okay. So 13,500 divided by 13.5, that's 1,000. So if 1,000 equals to x plus 3 the whole thing cubed, how do you find out the value of x? Sorry, not square, cubed. You take the cube root, so you can first get rid of the cube. Okay, so this gets cancelled out. Now x plus 3 equals to 10, since the cube root of 1000 is 10. So what's x equal to? X equals to 10 minus 3, which is equal to 7. Now this basically saved us from finding out the value of k. Okay. Now you could have done it through finding out the value of k as well. That's perfectly all right. Okay. But if the question is only asking you to find the value of x or the value of y without finding out the formula, then this is the method that I would suggest. Okay, the Feb-March papers aren't removed completely. So basically, what you have to do is go on my Instagram. You'll see the highlight, the very first highlight, in fact, the very latest highlight. That contains the link which will take you to the February-March paper. Okay, I took them down because apparently February-March papers are not officially out yet. So the channels that upload solutions of those papers were getting blocked or getting copyright strikes from Cambridge. So I took it down. Okay. Now, if you're good with the old method, go ahead. All right. So here it says g is inversely proportional to the square of d. Okay. Now, basically, this is when such methods will come in handy. Okay. Let me show you. When d is halved, the value of g is multiplied by a factor of n. Find n. Okay. So it says g is inversely proportional to the square of n. Okay. So let's write inversely proportional over here. G is inversely proportional to the square of, to the square of d, not n, to the square of d. Okay. When d is halved, the value of g is multiplied by a factor of n. Okay. So that means what happens when you half d, it becomes d upon 2, and don't forget that the square is still there. Okay. And what you have to find out is that the value of g is multiplied by a factor of n. So let's say we need to find out the new value of g. So let's call it x. And the fact that they're inversely proportional means that we're going to multiply head to head. Okay, because they're inversely proportional, that means we're going to multiply head to head. So here's what we're doing. At a certain value of g, it's equal to d square. Okay, now we need to find out what happens to the value of g when d is halved. Okay, now if you multiply head to head, notice what happens. G into d square equals to x into d square upon 4. Now notice what happens. D square and d square gets cancelled out. G is equals to x upon 4. Now if you cross multiply, what is x equal to? X equals to 4g. Now previously g was equal to g, now it's equal to 4g. So what is g been multiplied with? G has been multiplied by 4. So there you go. That's your answer. Okay. So basically, in questions like these, this method really comes in handy. Okay, this saves you the pain of finding out the value of k. Okay. So yeah, I hope it's clear. Expand and simplify. Okay, so there's a lot of algebra over here that's required. So let's start. Multiplying 2x into x is 2x square minus 2x plus 3x minus 3, which then gets multiplied by x plus 3. So now we have 2x square plus x minus 3, which then again gets multiplied by x plus 3. So 2x square into x is 2x cube plus 6x square plus x square plus 3x minus 3x minus 9. So 2x cube as it is plus 7x square. Okay, minus 3x plus 3x gets cancelled out, and now we have minus 9. So that's your final answer. 2x cube plus 7x square minus 9. There you go. Find the derivative dy by dx of y equals to 3x square plus 4x minus 1. So pretty easy. Dy by dx equals to 6x plus 4. Okay, now you can expect a follow-up question. Okay, no follow-up question. Okay. That's surprising. So 6x plus 4 is your final answer. There you go. सर आपके IGCSE वाले पेपर्स भी हैं चैनल पे 2023 के No, I've taken it down. Have I not taken it down? It's unlisted now. It's not public anymore. Okay. All right. Question number 7, part A. Calculate angle QPR. Okay, QPR. So we have all three sides, and we need to calculate one angle. What are we going to do over here? We're going to use cosine rule. Okay. So cos of QPR equals to, now remember, the two included sides are the sides that are added. The opposite side is the side that's always subtracted. Okay. Now, so 46.5 squared plus 39.4 squared minus 38.2 squared, and the same two sides that you're adding are the same two sides that are multiplied by 2 in the denominator. Okay, so there you go. Let's solve this. Cos of QPR, let's work this out. So use your calculator for this. Okay, no need to break it down into parts, just work it out in one go. 39.4 squared plus 46.5 squared minus 38.2 squared divided by 2 into 46.5 into 39.4, and then take the cos inverse of the answer. So if you do everything correctly, what you end up with is this 52.01. Okay, And angles, as we know, have to be given correct to one decimal place, so we leave it as 52.0. Okay, so there you go, that's your answer. Find the shortest distance from Q to PR. Okay, so what's the shortest distance? Remember, shortest distance is always the so I'll let you guys answer that. Shortest distance is always the what distance? Sir, Tuesday को paper है probability. Okay, at this point, shouldn't yearly papers be more suitable for you? What do you think? I'll see if I can find out the time. Okay, I was thinking to do graphs of functions, maybe. Yes, shortest distance is always a perpendicular distance. Okay, so chalo, pick one, graphs of functions or probability. Okay, I'll try and do both. Okay, but let's see. Sir, you gained 2170. Really? Achha. Closer to the exams, yes, they increase in a very large number. Perpendicular distance. Okay, so this is what you see in green is basically the shortest distance. Okay, so that's what we're going to find out. This is the opposite length. Okay, and we have the hypotenuse length. So what can we use? We can use sine. So sine of 52.0 equals to opposite over hypotenuse. So cross multiply, and that's it. Answer aa jayega. Okay, so that is equal to 36.6. All right, that's that. Okay, then it says the diagram shows a cuboid, calculate the length AG. Okay, so these kind of questions come very often in IGCSE, where you have to work out the diagonal of a 3D shape, which is usually a cuboid. Okay, so इसका एक direct formula भी बता देता हूँ आप लोगों को, ठीक है, और indirectly बता देता हूँ. Directly, if you want to do it, then it's going to be equal to square root of basically 29 squared plus 21 squared plus 20 squared, if you want to do it directly. Okay, if you don't want to do it directly, then you can first find out AC square. Okay, and then you can find out AC square by basically using Pythagoras theorem. Okay, because it's a cuboid, that means all the faces are rectangles, so all angles will be 90 degrees. And since this is a horizontal line and this is a vertical line, that means ye bhi kya hoga? Ye bhi 90 degree hoga. Okay, so it's basically this. So it is basically, I don't think I will have the exact same shape over here, but chalo kaam chala lete hain. Let's say this is a cuboid. Okay, so the diagonal of the cuboid is basically this length AB over here. Okay, so what we can do is we can first find out this length, okay, by basically using the triangle which I'm now highlighting. Okay, so if you guys use the triangle, this is going to be a 90 degree triangle, as you can see. So we can do base square plus basically this length squared plus this length squared inside the square root will give you the hypotenuse, will give you the diagonal of the base, and then you can use this triangle which I'm now highlighting. Okay, let me remove the other triangle. Yeah, then you can use the triangle that I'm now highlighting to find out the diagonal, the 3D diagonal basically. Okay, so again you'll do square of the diagonal of the base plus square of the height inside the square root, and that's it. You'll get your answer. Okay, now, so I hope it's clear. And then this is the direct formula for doing it. Okay, so if you want to use the direct formula, it's much easier. So square root of 29 squared plus 21 squared plus 20 squared. So that's equal to 41.01. So 41.0 it is. Okay, probability, sir, बेशक छोटी stream कर लें, basic समझा दें कुछ questions के साथ. This is the easiest question. Probability. Okay, so I think probability is what most people are saying. Okay, chalo. I'll try and do it by Sunday, inshallah, latest. Okay, so make sure to write this formula down. Okay, diagonal of a 3D is equals to L square plus B squared plus H squared. Okay, Calculate the angle between AG and the base ABCD. Okay, so now that we have everything that we need, okay, we can work out the angle. So this is what the angle, this is the angle the question is asking us to calculate. This is the triangle right here, which we're going to use. Okay, so what can we use? We can use tan. So tan theta equals to opposite, which is 20, upon the base, which is 41. So calculate theta inverse of 30. Oh no, wait a minute. It says AG and the base ABCD. Okay, wait a minute. AG and the base ABCD. Okay, sorry, that's not the, okay, sorry. That's the hypotenuse. 41 is the hypotenuse. So let's use something else. So since we haven't worked out AC, let's use sine. Yeah. So let's not use tan, let's use sine. So sine theta equals to 20 upon 41. Yep, that's more like it. Okay, so basically here's what we're doing in case you're wondering. I'll draw it separately over here. So we have theta over here. This is 20. Okay, and the hypotenuse is 41. Okay, so sine inverse of 20 divided by 41, so that's equal to 36.6. No, wait a minute, that's equal to, okay, just realized my calculator was in radian mode. Sine inverse of 20 divided by 41, so that is equal to 29.196, which can be written as 29.2. Yeah. So there you go. That's your answer. I wish there were channels of other subjects that provided with such high. Okay, I wish that too. Okay. But चलें कोई बात नहीं. Okay, आप लोग लड़े नहीं please. If you find it easy, that's great. Okay. अच्छी बात if you find it easy. That means you're well prepared for the exam. Okay, so let's do this question. This is bearing. The diagram shows the positions of a lighthouse L and two ships K and M. The bearing of L from K is 155. Okay, so notice that's not marked, so it's best that we mark it ourselves. The bearing of L from K is 155 degrees. Okay. And then it says KL is 112, so that's marked. The bearing of K from M is 10 degrees, so that means this little angle is 10 degrees. Okay. And then it says KML is 96 degrees. All right, we see that. Find the bearing and the distance of ship M from the lighthouse L. Okay, find the bearing and the distance of ship M from the lighthouse L. So technically, what we have to do is this. So we make a north at L. Okay, let's make it a solid north. And this is the angle that we have to find. Okay. Now there is a shortcut. So instead of finding out the bearing of M from L, which we're supposed to, okay, let's find out the bearing of L from M. Okay, so what's that going to be? That's going to be 10 plus 96 degrees, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 106 degrees. I say yeah, 106 degrees. Okay. Now, in order to find out the opposite, there are two things you can do. You can either add 180 or you can subtract 180. If the bearing of A to B is more than 180, then for the opposite bearing, you subtract 180. If the bearing of A to B is less than 180, then for the opposite, you add 180. So over here, this, as you can see, is less than 180. So now in order to calculate the opposite bearing, which is M from L, which we're supposed to calculate, what we're going to do is we're going to add 180. Okay, and this will always give you the correct answer. It will save you a lot of time and you will always get the correct answer. Okay, so if you work this out, 180 plus 106, so you get 286, and that's the correct answer. Okay, so I've explained this shortcut in a few bearing videos as well, and this comes in very handy. Okay, this concept is called reverse bearing concept. Reverse bearing. Okay, so either add 180, लिख देता हूँ चलो, theta plus 180 if theta is less than 180, and theta minus 180 if theta is greater than 180 degrees. Okay, where theta is basically the opposite bearing. All right, again, watch the video on it, clear हो जाएगा. Okay. So we worked out the bearing, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 286 degrees. So that means this angle that you're looking at is 286 degrees. Okay. Now what about the distance? Okay, so let's see if we have enough information to calculate the distance. We don't, but we can very easily find that information to calculate the distance. So notice that if I extend this line a little, okay, that will allow me to calculate this entire angle. So this is going to be 10 because of alternating angles, and this is going to be 25 because of sum of angles on a straight line. So 10 plus 25 altogether is going to be equal to what? Is going to be 35 degrees. Now through this 35 degrees, I can work out the opposite distance. Okay, so I have enough information to use sine rule. I have an angle and the length opposite to it. I have another angle and I need to find out the length opposite to it. So ml over sine 35 equals to 112 over sine 96. Always try and make sure that you keep the unknown as your numerator. Okay, so let's work this out. 112 divided by sine 96 into sine 35. So your answer is 64.59, which we're going to log to 64.6. 64.6 degrees. So, sorry, not degrees, 64.6 kilometers. 64.6 is this, and this is 286 degrees. There you go. Okay, I will see if I can make a short video on how to sketch cubic curves. Okay. Okay, now question number 8. Coordinate geometry. AB is a line with midpoint M, A is the point 2, 3, and M is the point 12, 7. Okay, so if you just roughly imagine what's going on, here's A, okay, with coordinates 2, 3. Here is M, which is the midpoint, with coordinates 12, 7, and here's B with, we don't know what coordinates, x, y. Okay, so if I calculate the midpoint of A and B, I will add the 2x coordinates, divide by 2, and just like that I will add the 2y coordinates, divide by 2. Okay, and they're equal to what? They're equal to 12, 7 respectively. So x plus 2 upon 2 equals to 12. Cross multiply, 12 into 2 is 24, and x is equals to 24 minus 2, which is 22. Okay, and then let's do the same for y. Y plus 3 upon 2 equals to 7. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 minus 3 equals to 11. So there you go. Easy. Show that the equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB is 2y plus 5x equals to 74. Okay, so how do you find out the equation of perpendicular bisector? You first find out the gradient, okay, using the points AB, and then you take the negative reciprocal of it, and a perpendicular bisector passes through the midpoint. It's a line that's perpendicular and bisecting. Bisecting means cutting it into half. Okay, so let's find out the gradient using AB. So that's going to be equal to 11 minus 3 over 22 minus 2. Okay, x2 minus x1 over y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 11 minus 3 is 8, and 22 minus 2 is 10. So that's equal to 11 minus 3 is 9, and 20. What am I doing? Sorry, my bad. 9 and 22 minus 2 is 20, which if you simplify, no wait, it's 8 upon 20. Should you just use a calculator? 11 minus 3 divided by 22 minus 2. 2 upon 5. Okay, so that means let's just write it as 2 upon 5 directly. 2 upon 5, then you take the negative reciprocal of it, so the gradient of the perpendicular bisector is going to be minus 5 upon 2. Okay, so this is where we are. Y equals to minus 5 upon 2x plus c. Now in order to find out c, we need a point through which the line is passing, and we're lucky enough to have that. So we plug in 11 in place of y, we plug in 22 in place of x plus c. So let's see, minus 5 into 22 divided by 2, so that's minus 55, and then you add, okay, just a minute, minus 5. Okay, show that. Wait a minute, am I using the wrong points? Okay, I'm using the coordinates of, Okay, I am using the coordinates of B, whereas I'm supposed to, yes, I'm supposed to use the coordinates of M. Okay, so 7 equals to minus 5 upon 2 into 12 plus C. So 2 1s are 2 6 are. So minus 5 into 6 is 30, 30 plus 7 is 37, so C is equals to positive 37, okay? And now we have the equation which is y is equals to minus 5 upon 2x plus 37. Now it's not in the form that we're supposed to bring it, so koi baat nahi. We'll take 37 over to the other side, equals to minus 5 upon 2x, cross multiply. 2y minus 37 times 2 is 74, equals to minus 5x, and then you write it the way the question wants you to write it, which is 2y plus 5, 2y plus 5x equals to 74. There you go. That's that. Okay. Part C. Part C says the perpendicular bisector of AB passes through the point N. The point N has coordinates 2, N. So this is a fairly easy question. Just plug in y in place of N and plug in 2 in place of x. Okay. And that should do the job. 2n equals to 74 minus 10, which is equal to 64. And then do 64 divided by 2, which is equal to 32. So there you go. That's the value of n. Then it says points A, M, and N form a triangle. Find the area of the triangle. Okay. Points A, M, and N. Okay. So where exactly is point A? Point A is here, 2, 3. Okay. So let's try and mark that. Somewhere over here is 2, 3. Okay. So this is point A. Point N is 2, 32. Okay. So that's going to be all the way above. All right. So remember, it's a sketch at the end of the day. So here is point N. So this is 32 and this is 2, and the y coordinate of A is 3. Okay. Although it doesn't make sense that the difference between 0 and 3 is so much and the difference between 3 and 32 is so little, but doesn't matter. Like I said, it's a sketch at the end of the day. Okay. And then there's point M, which has coordinates 12, 7. So that means the point M is going to be somewhere over here. Okay. So point M on the other hand has coordinates 12, 7. So somewhere over here will be 12 and somewhere over here is going to be 7. Okay. Now first of all, let's make a triangle. Okay. Let me fix the position of A first. Here it is. Okay. Now how do you calculate the area? Area is half into base into height. Okay. So this length is going to be the base, clearly. All right. So what's the base going to be? The base is going to be 32 minus 3. 32 minus 3, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 29. Okay. And then this length is going to be the height, which is going to be 12 minus 2, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 10. Okay. And there you go. Half into 29 into 10. If you work this out, 0.5 into 29 into 10, that's equal to 145, and that's your final answer. Okay. Any time management tips for the remaining days for students who have multiple papers coming? Just prioritize the ones that you need to work the most in. Okay. That's the best thing that I can say. And just make sure that if you're already prepared for a certain paper, you don't completely let go of it. Okay. If let's say you end up having a 2-3 day gap, okay, or even a 1 day gap, chances are that if you pick it up after 1 day of completely neglecting it, it'll take you a while to recall all the stuff. So, just skim through it, maybe give it less time, but don't let go of it completely. That's the best tip that I can give you. Okay. All right. Now, so this says on this diagram, sketch the graph of y equals to sine x. So if you know the graph of sine x, you know that the key values are 90, 180, 270, and 360. Okay. At 90, it's equal to 1. At 180, it's equal to 0. At 270, it's equal to -1. And at 360, it's equal to 0 again. So there you go. Whoops. This is your final answer. Then it says, on the diagram, sketch the graph of y equals to sine x for x from 0 to 360. Okay, so in fact, I just did that. Solve the equation 5 sine x plus 4. Okay, so first of all, make sine x the subject, which means taking 4 over to the other side. And then it's minus 4 upon 5. Okay, so sine is negative. What quadrants are we talking about then? We're talking about the first, sorry, not the first. We're talking about the third and the fourth quadrant. So here's the third, here's the fourth quadrant. Okay, so we find alpha by taking sine inverse of the positive value. So if you take sine inverse of 4 divided by 5, that's equal to 53.1. So this is 53.1 and this also is 53.1. So here's 0, here's 90, here's 180, here's 270, and here is 360. So for this, you do 180 plus 53.1, which is equal to 233.1. And for the final one, you do 360 minus 53.1, which is going to be 306.9 degrees. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, now mensuration. Okay. So first we have a limits of accuracy question. So it says the lengths of sides of triangle are 11.4 centimeter, 14.8 and 15.7, all correct to one decimal place. Calculate the upper bound of the perimeter of the triangle. Okay. So please don't do this, that you first calculate the perimeter and then you add whatever it is that you need to add to calculate the upper bound. Okay. So that's not what we're going to do. Correct to one decimal place basically means what? 0.1. And that's the value that you're going to divide by 2 to calculate the upper bound and the lower bound. Okay. So we have 11.4, the upper bound will be 11.45, the lower bound will be 11.35. You have 14.8, the upper bound will be 14.85, the lower bound will be 14.75. And you have 15.7, the upper bound will be 15.75, the lower bound is going to be 15.65. And since you want the upper bound, okay, of the perimeter, so what you're going to do is you're going to pick all the upper bounds and sum them up. So let's do that. 11.45 plus 14.85 plus 15.75. So here we are looking at 42.05. So there you go. That's your answer. Okay, now part B. Part B says the diagram shows a circle, radius 15.6. The angle of the minor sector is 150 degrees. Calculate the area of the minor sector. Okay. So how do you calculate the area of a sector? Area equals to theta upon 360 multiplied by pi r square. Okay. So r, as we can see, is 15.6. So might as well replace it with 15.6. Okay. So you work this out, you will have, let's see, 150 divided by 360 into pi into r square. So that's equal to 318.557, 318.557, which if you round off correct to 3 significant figures is going to be 319. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, now part C. Part C says the diagram shows radius r and minor sector angle x. The perimeter of the major sector is 3 times the perimeter of the minor sector. Okay, so notice that we're talking about perimeter. Perimeter of the major sector is 3 times the perimeter of the minor sector. Okay, now, so let's talk about the perimeter of the major sector. Okay. So for the major sector, the angle that we're going to take will be 360 minus x. Okay. And notice that we're talking about the perimeter. So perimeter equals to what? Perimeter equals to r plus arc length. Okay. So r plus arc length, which means 360 upon 360 minus x upon 360 multiplied by 2 pi r. So this is the perimeter. This will give us the perimeter of the major sector. Okay. Which according to the question is equal to 3 times the perimeter of the minor sector, which means 3 into x upon 360 times 2 pi r. Okay. Plus r plus r. Okay. So let's do a bit of simplification now. So first of all, we can simplify this 2 with this 360. So that's 180. Okay. And now we're looking at r plus r, which is equal to 2r plus 360 minus x into pi r, okay, upon 180, all right, equals to 3. And again, same simplification over here. 2 1s are, 2 180s are. 3 into pi r x over 180 plus 2r, okay. Now be careful, you don't want to make a sign error or a calculation error over here, okay. Now let's again try and simplify this. So if we multiply 3 over here, so here's what we get. इसको as it is लिख लेते हैं. 2r plus 360 minus x into pi r upon 180 equals to 3 pi r x upon 180 plus 3 into 2r is equal to what? Equals to 6r. Okay. So 3 1s are, 3 60s are. Okay. Okay. Now let's take the 2r on this side. Okay. And let's bring this over to the left hand side. So here's what we're looking at. We're looking at 360 pi r. Okay. 360 pi r. In fact, open नहीं करते अभी चलो. 360 minus x into pi r over 180 minus pi r x over 60 equals to 6r minus 2r, which is equal to 4r. Okay, so I've taken this over to the left and 2r over to the right. Okay. Now, सबसे पहले तो एक काम करते हैं. Since we have r everywhere, so let's cross that out. Okay. And then let's take the LCM. So if you take the LCM is going to be 180. Okay, so we have 360 minus x multiplied by pi as it is. Okay, this we multiply by 3, so this also we multiply by 3. So minus 3 pi x, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 4. Okay. Now we open this up. So 360 pi minus pi x minus 3 pi x equals to what? Equals to 180 into 4, which is 720. So this becomes 360 pi minus 4 pi x, which is equal to 720. Okay. Now we have to make x the subject. So 360 pi minus 720 equals to 4 pi x. Okay. So 360 pi minus 720 divided by 4 pi equals to x. Now you might think that this is not equal to what we were supposed to, and you're right in doing so. That's because we need to simplify it further. Okay. How can we simplify it further? So सबसे पहले तो notice that there is no 4 in the denominator. Okay, so that means we need to take 4 common in the numerator. So if you do that, that's going to be 90 pi minus 180, okay, over 4 pi equals to x. So this 4 and this 4 gets cancelled out. And now if you take 90 common, you will have pi minus 2 upon pi. And this is what x is equal to. So there you go. That's your final answer. Okay, now how far back do you recommend doing past papers? Just do 5 years. Yeah, 5 years is enough. Okay, given that you're getting a consistent score, a good score, and you're getting that consistently. Okay. Okay, now the last question. Is this the last question? Yeah. Vectors. Find the 2 possible values of m. So what are we given over here? We're given the magnitude. Okay, so if you're given the magnitude and you have to find, sir, just wanted to ask if you could kindly solve more of IGCSE papers, because there are some parts of their marking schemes that I don't understand. Yeah, okay, I plan on doing that, so don't worry. So you're given the magnitude, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 205 upon 2. Okay, so how do you find out the magnitude? 9m whole squared plus 40m whole squared, basically x squared plus y squared inside the square root, which is equal to 205 upon 2. Okay, so let's work this out. This is going to be 81m squared plus 1600m squared. Okay, and might as well take this across and square it. Okay, so 205 divided by 2 squared is equal to 1. Okay, so it's a weird value, 42,025 upon 4. Okay, so 1600 plus 81 is 1681 m square. Okay, so 1681 m square is equal to 42025 upon 4. From this point onwards, just use your calculator. So divide this by 1681. Okay, so if you divide this by 1681, you get 25 upon 4, and then take the square root on both sides. If you take the square root on both sides, you get plus minus 5 upon 2, or 2.5. So positive 2.5 or minus 2.5 is what you end up with. Okay, so there you go. That's that. Okay, now part B. Part B says OABC is a parallelogram. OA is equal to A and OC equals to C. All right, we can see that. P is the point on CB such that CP and PB are in the ratio 3:1. So that means this is 3 part, this is 1 part. So altogether, this is going to be 3/4 of the total. That means it's going to be 3/4 of CB, and this will be 1/4 of CB. Okay, find AC. Okay, so AC is going to be pretty easy. AO plus OC, which means minus A plus C. So there you go. Minus A plus C is your answer. Okay, then it says CP. So we've already kind of worked out CP. CP is 3/4 of CB. And since we're talking about a parallelogram, CB is going to be equal to A as well. So that means this is equal to 3/4 of A. So there you go. Then OP. Okay, so for OP, you're going to do OC plus CP. Now we already know what OC is equal to. It's C. And we also know what CP is equal to. It's 3 upon 4A. So there you go. C plus 3/4 of A. Okay, now OP and AB are extended to meet at Q. Okay, OP and AB are extended to meet at Q. So let's do that. Let's extend them and let's make them meet at Q. So there you go. These two are meeting at Q. Okay, find the position vector of Q. Okay, does the question say anything else? No, it doesn't. Okay. All right, let's see how we can do that. So there are definitely similar triangles in play over here. Okay, yes. So I'm going to clean this up a little. Take a screenshot of this. Okay. Bring it here. And let me show you guys what's going on. So basically what's going on is this. Normally, every time a question gives you a parallelogram and it asks you to extend one length, okay, or perhaps two lengths, and tells you that they're meeting at a certain point, chances are that you have a question that's related to similar triangles. Okay, now how is that? Let me show you. So basically, first of all, let's identify the similar triangles here. Okay, so what are the similar triangles over here? One is this triangle. Okay, so this point is Q, right? Yeah. And then you have another similar triangle, and that's this little triangle over here, this one. Okay, so these two triangles are similar. And they're similar in the ratio of 1:3. Okay, how do I know that? Let me show you. So notice that BP is actually 1/3 of A, okay, and OA is actually A. Okay, so triangle OAQ and triangle BPQ are similar. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if let's say okay, so through that we can find out OQ. You know how? Here's how. So OQ is going to be equal to OA plus AB plus BQ. Okay, now what does that mean? That means if AQ is one part, okay, BQ is going to be 1/3 of that. Or you can look at it this way, that if BQ is one part, this is going to be 3 times of it. Okay, which means that AB is 2 parts. Okay, so I'll explain this again. Basically, this is 1/3 of it, this is A. So that means they're similar in the ratio 1:3. So that means if this length of the smaller triangle is 1 part, that means this same length of the larger triangle is 2 parts. Okay, so what does that mean? that basically means that BQ and AB are in the ratio 1:2. Okay. Now through that, you know what I can do? Through that, I can find out BQ. Yeah, through that, I can find out BQ. 1 and 2. Yeah, okay. So BQ is going to be equal to what? BQ is actually going to be equal to 1 upon 2C. Okay, wait a minute. Let me confirm that. No, BQ is not going to be 1 upon... Okay, sorry, my bad. It's going to be 1/3. Sorry, my bad. So BQ is going to be 1/3 of it. Yes, sorry, my bad. BQ is equal to 1/3 of C. Okay, that's because they are similar in the ratio 1:3. Okay. Now, if they're similar in the ratio 1:3, what does that mean? That means that's enough information for us to find out OQ. So OQ is equal to what? OQ is equal to OA, which is A, plus AB, which is C, plus BQ, which is 1/3 C. Okay. Now let's simplify this. So we have A plus 4 upon 3C as OQ. And there you go. That's the final answer. Now I'll explain this again. Okay. I will explain this again so that you understand how this works. Okay. Now notice that the triangles are basically similar in the ratio 1:3. Okay, how do I know that? Here's how I know that. If this is 1/3 of A, okay, the question told us that earlier, right? This is 1/3 of A. Okay. Wait a minute. Just a second. Let me check the answer to this. A plus 4 upon 3C. Tero. Just give me a minute. I don't know. I have my doubts that this is not the correct answer. Just a second. Okay, no, it is the correct answer. It is A plus 4 upon 3C. Okay. Now I'll explain this again. So basically, like I said, these two triangles are similar in the ratio 1:3. Okay. So if PB is 1/3 of A, okay, that means कि जो उसकी base होगी वो भी क्या होगी? वो भी 1/3 of C होगी. Okay, so if this is 1/3 of A, if this is A and this is 1/3 of A, that means the base of the smaller triangle will also be 1/3 the base of the larger triangle. And the base of the larger triangle is what? The base of the larger triangle is C, so that means this is going to be 1/3 of C as well. Okay, similar triangles. We're using the ratio of similar triangles. So now if you want to find out the position vector of Q, here's what you're going to do. You're going to do OA plus AB. So OA is A, AB is C, plus BQ. And what's BQ equals to? BQ is equals to 1/3 of C. Okay, now you add this. C plus 1/3 of C is equals to what? Equals to 4/3 of C. So now you have OQ, which is equal to A plus 4 upon 3C. Now, yes, this was a bit technical. So yeah, this is the final answer. Okay. All right. So that's that. I'm going to stop here. And I will try and inshallah stream more paper 2 before the exam. Okay. And I will also try and stream probability. Okay. So I think one of you said, so it's either going to be probability or it's going to be graphs of functions. Okay, I'll let you guys know. I'll announce on my Instagram. Tomorrow, however, I will most likely be streaming a paper. Okay. Paper 2 of May-June 2022. So make sure you guys download that. If you want, you can attempt it beforehand. Okay, and we'll solve alongside. All right. So I'm going to stop here. And if you guys haven't liked the stream, please like it before you go. And do subscribe also if you haven't yet. So that's it. Take care, everyone. Allah Hafiz.